Thank you everyone for joining us on this channel today. We have someone very special with us today. We have Mr. Aakshat Sinha, a prominent artist as well as a curator. And as the format of every episode goes, I'll start off by asking Akshat sir to give an introduction, and then we'll have a conversation with Akshat sir. So Akshat, over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Nilanjan, for having me on your channel. And I hope we can drop the sir part. My name is Aakshat Sinha. I am a Delhi-based artist and a curator, but that is today. And my background comes from I did my engineering way back. I completed my schooling in 91, and I immediately went to Russia on a scholarship for mechanical engineering. I did my BTech and then I completed my MTech, and I was pursuing my PhD. Uh, in the meantime, I started working already. I came back to India in 2000, and which was primarily because I thought that either it was time for me to come back or never come back. So I took the jump to come back to India. Till about 2007, I had different vocations. I had my own consulting firm in the end, and I was into HR consulting. Although the work was quite interesting, I realized that I was not satisfied. And in search of this satisfaction or this lack of satisfaction, I quit and I retired at the age of 33. And for a year, I didn't do anything. I just searched. I just researched what all happens in life. And in the meantime, I started writing. And that kind of pushed me to look at what else did I used to enjoy when I was a child. And my mother used to paint a lot, and it was her desire to, kind of inculcate this habit in me as well. And I was as young as 10 and 11 when I used to give canvases painted by me to my friends on their birthdays and all. I won the Shankar's art competition as well at some point of time. But then education, kind of academics kind of pick you up and put everything on the back burner. And I found an old canvas, you know, which was not white anymore. It was quite dirty. But I used some paints which were lying around, which again, after 20 years, they were still sort of alive. And I realized that I kind of enjoyed the act of making something on the canvas. And I also realized that I was technically a little challenged in the anatomy and how to handle the medium. So I went for a 3-month course at the India Habitat Center. This used to be a weekend course. And I soon realized that this was definitely something that I wanted to explore. But that course was already something very primitive for me. I wanted to do it a little more in depth. I joined the Delhi Collage of Art because I saw their annual exhibition and I felt that if I could do, even what they were doing at the end of a year, that would be good enough. And this is 2008, 2009 is when I completed my 1-year diploma in fine arts. Since then, I've been doing exhibitions. I did group exhibitions, then I had my 2 solo exhibitions. I got invited to be a part of, to represent India at the Russian Moscow exhibition of the Silk Road Culture Forum. And while I was doing that, I started to get into curation because I realized that there was a major gap in organization in terms of how to represent yourself, how to put yourself out there, be it using the social media, because already social media was quite happening at that time, and how to market yourself, how to get people to know about what you do, and find like-minded people so as to network, because it was not purely uh, the objective of creation, but it was also about learning from others as to what they do and how they understand things. So I decided not to stop at any single thing. I explored a lot of different mediums, be it installations, sculpture, painting. Unfortunately, print painting is something that I didn't really explore. I really wanted to, but I did. So I was into street art. I'm currently working with Delhi Street Art Group, and we paint the walls. We do murals, large size murals and all. And I've been involved with comic creation with different collectives, and I've been curating a lot of festivals, exhibitions, doing curating for other artists, helping them streamline their process of bringing their works to the people. And also, yeah, it's been a long journey, and it's on. I would love to be a jack of all trades, and I keep learning every day. I try to learn languages. I try to learn from everybody that I meet around, and that's what my journey is about.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. Fascinating. Thank you for sharing that, Akshat. Um, there are a lot of people out there, not necessarily, having gone through a formal education in art, but they do have a knack towards creativity. Um, but they're doing this 9 to 5 gig. I myself was one of them. They're often quite sort of hesitant to make that shift. In your case, was it sort of like an organic decision which just happened, or did it involve any kind of thinking? I mean, how did that shift happen?
So, like I mentioned, I was already kind of settled. I mean, it was not even a 9 to 5, it was a 24/7 work, because when you work for yourself, you put in as much effort as you can. And headhunting would involve speaking to people across the world, which would mean that the time zones and time made no difference anymore. It was quite exciting, but I think at the end of the day, it's important for an individual to try and understand what gives them happiness. What is it that really excites you? If it's money, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. How do you get that money? Do you like making money, or do you like spending money? You know, these are two different things. Not necessarily they come together, and that's unfortunate as well. But I know a lot of people who are really interested in making money, and they could be into banking or into financial sectors and all, and they really like making money for others. And that charm of it is, so this excitement is something that the individual needs to explore on their own. And it didn't come naturally. I mean, it's not an epiphany or suddenly a eureka moment where I realized that this is what I'm going to do. I started writing, as I said, when I quit. I started writing, and I almost completed 250 pages of a novel that I was doing. It never finished. The novel never got over. I still have these synopses there with me, and the pages which are written there. But it did get me on into exploring, creating things, which has then allowed me to think of what all can I create. And this so I look at art as not a product. I look at art as an action, as a verb. And when you are in the act of creation, it could be a poem, it could be a short story, it could be a painting, it could be curating a festival or an exhibition. That whole process of creating something which has your vision ingrained in it, and you explore certain things, you learn from them, you execute it differently the next time you do it. This whole process, I think, became very exciting for me. And there is no there's no rule. And I think a lot of our education, unfortunately, does not kind of prepare us for what to do with our life. It just prepares us to kind of do a specific job. And I think as humans, we can do so much more. And I think if you look at the our predecessors, they used to do so many different things at the same time. You would have the same person involved in painting. He could be a scientist, he could be a mathematician. He or she could be somebody who's you know uh, baking cakes or breads, or so the same person could be performing multiple roles. And at each point, any of those activities could lead to a profession. And your choice of that profession, and what you retain as something that gives you money and something that gives you happiness, they could coincide, they could be separate. This whole activity of allowing your individuality to explore your multi disciplinary, the different uh, the different objectives that can be there in a life, just to be able to explore them. I think that is the human exploration that we need to get into. And we unfortunately have become very specialized. We do our bachelor's, masters, we do our post graduation and our PhDs in those, and then super specialization. I would suggest that they try and explore different things. Give yourself the time and the opportunity to, because unless you explore, unless you experiment, you don't know if you like it or not. And that was basically the lying principle, the underlying principle for my festival that I used to do, the I Am Festival, Identity Art Marathon that I used to do, because I believe that our identity is basically the sum total of our experiences. It's just that. And if we have been conscious enough about it, we learn the things that we like or we dislike. And that is what kind of makes us who we are. The more we experience, the more we know if we like or we dislike something. And that in itself is knowing more about yourself. So that experimentation, exploration of an outward thing is actually a path inwards.
Great, thank you, Akshay, for that. I'll move swiftly move to the next question. That of about ArtAmour as a platform. Please tell us about ArtAmour and what is it all about. I think a lot of our viewers would be interested in knowing that.
So Artmore is an online blog. Artamore.in is the address. It does not exist on the social media. There's no Facebook page. There's no Instagram, very consciously, because we wanted to keep it purely as a blog. But it came about simply because I and my partner in Artamore is Ranjan Kaul. He's much senior to both of us. He retired as the managing director of Oxford University Press. He is also an engineer from IIT Kanpur. And we used to quite frequently visit exhibitions, be it at the Lalit Kala, Triveni, Kala Sangam, or all the other galleries. And we used to find artists cribbing about the fact that the general public does not walk into the gallery and interact with the art or the artist. And we used to quite frequently talk about it, that why is there a gap between art and society in general? So this ArtAmour is actually a product of that thought process. We realize that there are no people, there are very limited voices out there speaking directly to the public in a language that the public can understand. There's a lot of curatorial notes and stuff that goes out in the name of high art, which alienates the people. I mean, you were talking about how, how difficult it is for people to interact with. There seems to be an elite circle. I think it exists, and there have been attempts previously as well, and these attempts continue. So, an ArtAmour is also an attempt in the same direction, where we wanted to bring interviews of artists. We wanted to bring articles about themes on art. I mean, it could be related to one or the other ism that exists, or it could be about a, a basic understanding of how to engage with art, how to look at art, uh, how to sell art, and different things that can help an individual, any lay individual, to interact with art. So this was the basic reason why we started ArtAmour. We decided that ArtAmour would be an online platform where we would try and bring uh, things, articles about interviews of the artists, getting them to speak about questions. So we've got a questionnaire. It's a 7-question questionnaire. And these same questions are put to different artists. And we featured around 45 artists in the last 1 year. Since 9th October is when 2020 is when we started. And these artists have been from different corners of the world. We've got artists from UK, from India, different parts of India as well. And we've kind of featured more of the contemporary art because that is something where we feel that there is more confusion for the general public. You have a banana which is stuck onto a wall with with just a scotch tape, and that is also art. So how do you understand concepts? How does one engage with them? So which is why we have tried to keep it more focused on the contemporary forms of art. Because when we started ArtAmour, we were planning to look more at the Indian audience and with the thought of looking at the Indian art scene. But we realized the moment we were online, it gives us the opportunity to reach out to a wider audience and bring to this wider audience artists and topics of art from across the world. I think that pushed us to reach out to a wider network of artists, uh, art organizations. And we've also tried to reach out to a different demographic and different individuals, subscribers across the world. We have since then always been on the lookout of how to monetize it in such a way so that the platform in itself becomes sustainable. At the same time, we are able to pay the writers, especially the writers, because they do a lot of work. And having done that ourselves, we realize the kind of research that goes into it, the kind of effort that goes into it. Once we were planning to celebrate our first anniversary, we decided to hold an exhibition, and an Imaginal Affair is what came out of it. Uh, and we thought that we will only reach out to the artists who've been featured in some way or the other on our platform in the last 1 year. Uh, we had featured more than 150, so that in it became a big challenge. And we finally, given the logistics of doing a physical show, because almost for a year and a half we've not had physical shows. I myself have, we've been really looking out for these opportunities to interact with art and artists directly, face to face. Given the challenges, we were still able to hold a 3-day exhibition. Because we featured 40 artists in the physical exhibition, we now have an online exhibition which was till the 31st of October, and we are now planning to extend it till the 30th of November. We have permissions from the artists. We have 51 artists, 176 works. So when you talk about the progression as to where ArtAmour sees itself going, it's happened so organically, and we are just allowing itself to, kind of open itself to us. From a blog, we moved on to being something which did an exhibition. Now we have an online exhibition, and we also have a payment gateway, so which kind of allows us to sell the works. So we're kind of completing the circle. At the same time, we're looking at doing a little more. We're trying to tie up with organizations to do seminars, and seminars which are interactive, which involve the public, and that's what we are looking at. More details to come soon. I can't share them right now.
Okay. Thank you. I'm very happy that ArtAmour is kind of branching out to newer things. You mentioned the exhibition, An Imaginal Affair. Tell us a little bit about the show and your role as a curator as well.
So, when you plan for an exhibition, either you come up with an idea and you find the artists around that, or you generally have a pool of artists and then you kind of see what is the thread that combines everybody together. For us, we realized that diversity is exactly what kind of brought everybody on the same platform, because we had absolutely all kinds of artists, and then we started thinking about what actually connects these people. And I think the word imaginal takes its roots from the words image or imagery, and the imaginary. It kind of takes roots from both the words. And I think we were both quite sure that this somehow connects everybody. So it's not a fantasy, it's just imagination, it's just whatever the artist perceived. And the affair part now, so affair can look at something which is love, and we have amour in our, in our name itself. The French word for love is amour, ArtAmour. And apart from being that affair, it could also be about a transaction. Affair is also a transaction. It's also business. And how do you connect all these things? So, I mean, the name in itself came quite logically from that. It didn't take too many iterations for us. Uh, how to bring all the works together, because just bringing everybody together and speaking about them is one thing, but showcasing all the works together in an exhibition in a physical space, the works need to speak to the person who visits, and the entire thing needs to be done on a very subconscious level. But at the same time, we wanted to be very specific about putting the captions out there, putting the titles out there, the size, the medium, and make a specific effort to speak to the people who walked in. Because I think that is one of the gaps we felt that we artists need to bridge. the same time, when you curate an exhibition, the exhibition display itself becomes very important. The lighting becomes very important. The flow of how one person will first interact with an artwork, the moment they walk into a space, which are the works that they will see the first. So the entire display has to be kept, has to be created, keeping in mind the walking and the view that an individual will have when they walk through that space. Uh, had 95 works, of which for 8 works were 9 works were digital. We had photographs, we had paintings, we had installations which involved origami, which was really, really big. I mean, so Ankon Mitra's work of, which was 16 feet by 4 feet by 6 feet on the ceiling. And I think it was so impressive in itself. The moment you walk in, and for something like that, it is so abstract, and at the same time, there is absolutely no need for any text as such. But there was text available. If somebody wants to learn more about it, what is the material, what is the thought process of the artist, where they started from, those were available. So this support should always be there. I believe that. But at the same time, there should be an opportunity for the individual to engage without any filters being provided directly. So they should be available, but just at the right space and right point, so as not to spoon feed your audience. So keeping all those things in mind, I think Stainless Gallery was. I have always wanted to exhibit at Stainless Galleries because it's one of the most beautiful spaces. It's large. It's got a lot of natural, light sections as well. At the same time, they've got wonderful lighting. These were some of the reasons why we decided that stainless is exactly where we would exhibit. The only challenge that we felt was that it was only for 3 days. We only wish that we had the capacity, financial capacity to do it for a longer period of time. But
Yeah, I was about to say that because I
yeah,
personally I went to the show and I had the same thing to say that it was if it only had maybe some other venue like a traveling show, people from other cities could have enjoyed it as well. But then maybe in the long run, ArtAmour can do that as well, like traveling shows to other cities as well. But yeah, I felt it created a lot of
that
dialogues
that
within.
Nilanjan is actually something that we're thinking about. We're thinking about shows in other cities. That is something that we are thinking about in the pipeline. I mean, that is something that because that's
Yeah.
something that I'm working on in shows in different cities.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, something like this show itself and Imaginal Affair takes a lot of time to consume and to interact with because there was a lot of work,
Yeah,
and I would have definitely come back a second or a third day maybe to
right.
really sort of absorb everything.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think something of this magnitude would definitely require some more amount of time, and God
But
willing,
people can check out
uh,
the online exhibition. I know it's not the
hmm,
same experience. I personally am yet to find the best online virtual, experience of an exhibition, which really satisfies me. I am not satisfied myself with all. But whatever best was available, we have an opportunity for people to look at the artworks at least. Uh, that possibility is there right now. Hopefully, we'll be able to come back with another physical show soon.
the good news is that it's extended for another month, so
Yeah,
that's a very good thing. Of course, we'll leave a description in the description box. We'll leave the link to that show and everything else that we have talked about today. Yeah, so that's pretty much sums up today's session with you, Akshat. Thank you so much for spending time with us. This has been a great session with you.
thank you so much, Nilanjan. I just want to add that what you are doing is exactly what a lot of others need to do. And thank you for taking the initiative for doing this because a lot of students of art, a lot of people who just want to know about art. Uh, I don't think in India we do a lot of documentation, and we
Hmm.
should. I mean, if you want to search for international artists, there's a lot of stuff available. We need to do more. And unfortunately, in the press, the space for art has been shrinking. So we need to find newer mediums. We need to find our own organic way of reaching out to the public and to the students and to the generations coming ahead. Thanks for doing this, Nilanjan.